Umba ariya ari umba ariye iye umba ariya ari umba ariye. Hi, I'm Theodore Salisbury, although I prefer Theo for short. I'm going to be reading some poems on a Zoomuse hookup on Friday, November the 6th at 11 a.m. Los Angeles time. And I want to tell you a bit about myself, and then I'll read a short poem or two. I'm 79 years old, or no, I will be rather in January, and about 2 weeks after that, I'll have my 57th Subud birthday. I was opened at the age of 22 when I was a college dropout. Over my university career, which ended with a master's degree, I've had 7 different majors. So I have quite a breadth of interest. I've read in a lot of different fields. I wasn't interested in poetry early on, but I became interested. And one thing I have done a little bit of is set poems to music. My favorite poems, in case anyone's interested, are Emily Dickinson, American poet, US poet named William Stafford, the names are fleeing away from my brain here. It's my aged brain.
That's okay.
William Yates,
Yeah.
and then as translated by Robert Bly, who's a living American poet, Antonio Machado, Spanish poet, and Rainer Maria Rilke. I wasn't very interested in poetry. Well, I had the best teacher I've ever had in my senior year of high school. He was just terrific. I'll never forget him. Lots of his students over the years have felt the same way, evidently. And he began to teach us how to write, among other things, and gave us a mastery of grammar that I've never seen equaled anywhere. Introduced us to Strunk White's Elements of Style, if you're familiar with that book. I still swear by that. And I began to write a few poems. He didn't think they were so great. And I kind of had to agree with him. But I began to just write an occasional poem. But what really opened up poetry for me was a dear friend I had then, who was a college roommate later for a while, or while I was a college dropout, actually. And he became one of the best classical scholars in the country. But back in those days, he used to recite poetry a lot. And he was terrific. Once he recited an ode by Horace in Latin, and wow, it just rolled off his tongue like thunder, you know. And he liked to read Dylan Thomas sometimes, and he could read Dylan Thomas almost as well as Dylan Thomas could himself. Maybe not quite, but very, very well. So that got me turned on to poetry.
Do you write at a particular time each day, or how does writing figure in your life? Like, do you keep a notebook? How do you do this stuff for yourself?
I've tried keeping notebooks. I struggled for a long time with a kind of inchoate sense of feeling creative but being unable to find it. Now, I actually did musical composition opened up for me late in 1975 after I returned from the Subud Congress in Wolfsburg with my first wife and our 2 young children, as we had then. Did I say I have 4 children altogether? Anyway, that came as a gift in Latihan. I received one day in Latihan that I would that I would receive a great gift soon, but I didn't know what it was. And then actually through listening to, I'm going off on a little tangent, is that okay?
No, it's fine. No, go ahead.
Discovering the music of Benjamin Britten, I realized that one could write vocal music in the 20th century. I hadn't heard much up until then except Stravinsky's Symphony of Psalms and Karl Orff's Carmina Burana. I'd been listening obsessively to classical music since I was 2 years old. my first great love was Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto, and I still love that. But I quit pretty quickly in my early teens, got into into 20th century music with Bartok, who's still maybe my all-time favorite composer. Although I think Bach and Beethoven are the greatest that I love, but they're very demanding. Well, so is Bartok a lot of the time. But I just kind of came across Britain's music when I was 30, what was it been, 33 at that time by accident. And then I began to think, gee, I'd sure like to do what he did and set some poetry to music. So that kind of brought poetry back into it. I'm going to read two very short poems. The one is one of four haiku. It's the only one I think is worth saving. It's not quite a perfect haiku. It's 17 syllables in 3 lines, but the last 2 lines are 6 syllables and 6 instead of 7 and 5, which they're supposed to be, but oh well. This came to me in 2 lines in 1964 and the final line in 2011. Glint of bird wing, hedge catching summer noon. Look, the very light's alive. And then I'm giving you my 2 light poems. Most of my poems are fairly personal and fairly serious. I think the last poem I plan to read on the 6th of November is a celebratory poem, but most of them are just explorations of what my life has been like. This one, though, is called "The Flowers, Do They Not Speak?" Each delicate flower in its, oh, sorry, let me start that again. Each delicate flower sucking sustenance in its hour, from earth, sun, air, pleads with radiant hue, choose me, come bee, come breeze, choose me. So say you, say I, say we. That's about it for now, and I hope that many of you who receive this will join me on November the 6th at 11 a.m. California time, and you'll get to hear some more poetry at that time. Thank you very much.